Hello, I'm Askar Sharlief and we continue our coverage of the latest events in Kyrgyzstan. After almost 2 days of riots and looting, the interim government of Kyrgyzstan is taking the situation in the capital under control. On Thursday, multi-thousand people mobs made several attempts to continue looting shopping centers in Bishkek. Supposedly, these unrests are fueled by the remaining supporters of President Kurmanbek Bakiyev in order to discredit the interim government. Meanwhile, volunteer guards mobilized to protect stores and offices of the capital, and later at night the troops entered the city to maintain order and protect strategic facilities.
Law enforcement authorities are gradually taking control over the situation in Bishkek. Police officers as well as volunteer guards are on the streets to maintain the order. On the night of April 8th, the capital was attacked by looters. The mob attempted to rob the remaining intact stores. Major supermarkets in the capital were trashed. Drunken crowds broke shop windows and burned nearby cars. Very few businessmen managed to defend their property. This supermarket was completely destroyed. Entrepreneurs are counting their losses and are trying to clean up the mess.
I want to appeal to everyone to maintain peace, not to rob shops and banks, not to follow the provocateurs. After the order will be restored, all those responsible will have to answer for their actions.
On Thursday, thousands of city residents joined people's militia units. Mobile teams of 5 to 6 people were patrolling the streets and maintaining the order. These volunteers with red bands were able to save several shops against the looter attacks. The patrolling will continue until the situation will stabilize.
We came to clean up our city with all sincerity. The situation is already stabilizing.
Unfortunately, the volunteers did not make it everywhere on time. Trying to protect their property, some store owners installed slogans on their windows, "Biz elmenen," we are with people. This did not help. By pure chance, this electronic store survived several attacks.
Approximately 30 people were in each group. They were throwing everything they could find laying around at us. No one used weapons though, and we didn't fire back to prevent bloodshed. But we were sitting ducks here. Luckily, none of us was injured.
Bishkek residents are slowly recovering from the shock. Once again, just like 5 years ago, the city was severely damaged by looters.
This might be a revolution, but why do they trash everything? It just shows that these people are ignorant and inhumane. People were running into debt to take credits and buy stock, which was taken away from them. This is terrible, of course. Nevertheless, the city seems to be returning to life.
Now everything should be restored. Many became bankrupt overnight. People simply robbed each other, which is so wrong. According to the interim government, the police which sided with the opposition will be actively protecting all remaining property in the city. Hundreds of looters have been already detained, mostly young people under 25. Meanwhile, armed forces have been summoned in the city.
No more shootings and only a few random cases of looting were reported last night in Bishkek. Apparently, the situation is much calmer than it was just a day ago. In the morning, law enforcement officers and traffic police returned to the streets. Municipal services are back at work cleaning the aftermath of the clashes and looting.
Public transportation is restored in Bishkek, as right after the storming of the government building and riots, all passenger buses disappeared from the city streets. Now employees of the organizations and companies are returning back to their work.
I'm not supporting the opposition or authorities, the old or new government, yet I have to deal with the consequences of this duality, since there was no transition of power.
There is still no confirmed data on the exact number of trashed shopping center, entertainment venues and state organization buildings. Businessmen are cleaning up their property after the looters' attacks. This used to be a very popular local cafe, but its personnel were not able to defend the place against the mob. First it was completely looted, then set on fire. A psychological and medical aid center was set up next to the city morgue. Reportedly, many bodies remain unidentified, while new dead are being brought here from the city hospitals. Officially, 75 people were killed in the Bishkek during the clashes.
We report to the healthcare ministry, and all of the information is distributed by the acting minister. For now, we have enough space here.
City residents now face the problem of limited number of remaining food stores. Queues are reported all across the city as people are trying to stock supplies for the unclear future.
Two combat anti-tank mines were found and defused in Bishkek on Friday. The first Soviet-made mine of the TP-62 series was found on the lawn near the city hall. The area was immediately blocked by the police, and arrived national security officers defused the mine in 15 minutes. Later it was destroyed at the special range. Another similar device was reportedly found in the capital later. According to military experts, these mines are able to destroy everything in the area of more than 200 meters around them. Currently, the law enforcement agencies investigate how the explosives appeared in the capital, while criminal cases have been filed accordingly. Apparently, it was sheer luck that the mines were detected in time and casualties were avoided. We still receive confusing and conflicting information about the recent actions of President Bakiyev. According to some reports, after fleeing from Bishkek, he's hiding in a village in the south of the country. In one of interviews Bakiyev gave on Thursday, the head of state said that he was not going to resign and blamed the opposition for the unrests and casualties in Bishkek. Bakiyev also added that he refused to accept assistance in resolving the situation, supposedly offered to him by the heads of neighboring Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. Meanwhile, new information was received on Friday. Itartas reports that Bakiyev is ready to negotiate with the interim government. Speaking about the threat of a civil war, Bakiyev said, quote, "I think the split is already there to a certain extent, but further escalation can be stopped. This must be done." According to some sources, armed units are being formed in the south to support Bakiyev, who could try to retake the power in the country. In the meantime, the new interim government has ordered the law enforcement agencies to arrest President Bakiyev. A criminal case was instigated on the charges of being involved with the shooting of protesters in Bishkek on April 7th, who were demanding the resignation of the country's political leadership. According to the official data, 76 people were killed and more than 1,500 injured after fire was opened at the crowd.
In no country will a president order to fire at citizens with live rounds. This is all beyond any comprehension. Today a criminal case was filed due to the events on April 6th and 7th. I can guarantee that the investigation will be conducted quickly. Then we will find out exactly who gave the order to kill people.
Kyrgyz human rights activists urge President Bakiyev to voluntarily resign. The fact that Bakiyev is still technically in power is the main destabilizing factor which complicates the situation in the country. According to civic movement activists, the solution may be the convening of the parliament and the announcement of impeachment.
According to international standards and conventions, the interim government can enter into force officially only after the president resigns, which unfortunately has not been done yet by Bakiyev. We now appeal to the president to be reasonable and leave his post. Everything else will be then decided in the courts.
April 9th and 10th are declared the days of national mourning in Kyrgyzstan. On Friday, thousands of citizens gathered in front of the government house where tragic events took place only the day before to honor the killed protesters. The participants of the memorial read prayers and laid flowers while photos of the victims were placed on the fence of the government house.
Everything has its limits, and this victory came at a price. They died for our freedom and created our future. Each one of these victims is a terrible loss to us. It is very sad and painful that young people were killed. It is just unbearable. They gave their lives for our better future, children, and of all Kyrgyz citizens. United, despite of their ethnicity and region, they truly became our heroes.